Hello and welcome to another episode of wjlive, powered by the Western Journal. I'm Michael Austin, the supervising reporter over here at the Western Journal, and today I'm joined by I always refer to him as my peon, my most trusted reporter on the reporting team, along with all the other reporters who are also my most trusted reporters, Grant Atkinson.
I like the extra enthusiasm there on the opening. I'm a fan of that.
So we've been talking about, okay, guys, we need to be a little more energetic, a little more enthusiasm. So that's what I'm trying to bring for our producer, Russ. So you're welcome, Russ. So today, Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrats in general, any leftist in the world that you might find, they are going nuts over this Roe v. Wade news. They're talking about going to war with SCOTUS, Republicans, tearing down the entire system, which is what they're always talking about doing. But now they're getting especially frothy about it. And we're getting into some serious stuff here, guys. So, we had the SCOTUS leak that happened, what was that, Monday? Was that earlier?
Yeah, I think that was Monday evening.
A document, a decision got leaked from the Supreme Court of the United States, which is, that's unprecedented. Yeah. That doesn't happen. Leaks don't come out of the Supreme Court, months ahead of decisions that they're going to make, especially when it comes to decisions as big, as massive as Roe v. Wade. Apparently, as it sits right now, and this could change in the future, the court is about to overturn Roe v. Wade. The decision basically showed that I think it was the opinion of Justice Alito.
That's right, yeah.
That got leaked, and he said it's impossible to overstate. Oh, no, that's something else. But basically, here's what he said. We end this opinion where we began. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey arrogated that authority. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives. So that's earth-shattering. Roe v. Wade has been the most controversial case to come out of the Supreme Court ever. I can't think of another one that's more controversial than that, decision-wise. And it's the most divisive issue currently in politics. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cliche to say, like, oh, aside from politics, people always say that, like, aside from politics, blah, blah, blah. And it's, like, kind of cliche because you really can't put aside politics in something that's political as much as this is.
Right.
But I think even in addition to the politics of the situation, the decision from just a constitutional standpoint is really, really bad. There's no reason that the states shouldn't have the right to decide whether they want abortion in their state, or the elected officials should decide, and that's where the people's voice comes in. So, I mean, if you want to say that you're for abortion and you want to make that argument, that's a whole different thing that we'll certainly get into. But I think just on the basis of just the opinion, it's a very poor opinion that I don't think holds up to constitutional standards.
Well, of course it doesn't. I mean, Roe v. Wade, basically the idea behind it was your constitutional right to privacy gives you the right to kill your unborn child ahead of time without anyone interfering in that. That's your right to privacy gives you a right to abortion. That's kind of the essence of the decision, which is clearly ridiculous. But anyway, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're doing everything they can to fight back against this. And it's not just them. We saw all kinds of Democrats come out the day that the leak happened saying, we need to unilaterally enshrine Roe v. Wade into law. We need to, mobilize Congress to make sure that this, it gets solidified before the Supreme Court overturns the decision. Bernie Sanders saying crazy stuff like that. And then probably the most outrageous of any of these claims was Joe Biden himself. And we have a clip of this we're going to pull up. He basically said that, we can't leave decisions like this up to the whims of the public. All right, Maduro. Let's play that clip right now.
There's so many fundamental rights that are affected by that, and I'm not prepared to leave that to the whims and the public at the moment in local areas.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I don't understand how you can be an American president and feel that way.
So the whole idea in this country is that, hey, the people get represented, we vote on things, but I guess Biden thinks, well, when it comes to baby killing, that we can't leave that up to people. We got to make that decision ourselves. But this is really what they think about things, and this kind of speaks to the Biden administration in general, is that, okay, we need to decide what information they're getting. We need to decide which policies are best. When it comes to COVID, we're the ones, lockdowns. Oh, you guys don't like lockdowns? Too bad. We know what's best for you. Same thing with Roe v. Wade and abortion. So, that one of the most shocking clips we've seen from the president. And, it's representative of people don't like this guy. He keeps saying these things and his poll numbers keep going down. And now the administration, now that Roe v. Wade is going to get overturned, they're going nuclear. And we're winning because of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how the same people who say that we should have lockdowns, who say that we should have to put a vaccine into our bodies, these same people are the ones who are saying, that we should be having abortion. People should be able to make this choice. They should be able to make a choice about their body. And I don't understand how that squares away with what they've been doing with the vaccine mandate in particular, especially because one of those, you're talking about your own body. You're talking about what I'm going to put in this. Another one, they don't want to admit this, obviously, on the left, but you're talking about a separate body that grows inside a woman's body. There's two bodies that are in question. And it's like you're not allowed to say that, but that's the truth. So
bodily autonomy was a big deal back before COVID when they wanted to stick everybody with vaccines. Then, bodily autonomy, you don't get that. But now that it comes to abortion, all of a sudden that's a big deal again for the Biden administration. So, they don't want you to be able to vote on these things. They don't want you to have the information. They don't want you to have any control over what the laws of the land are. And in addition to that, they also just want to rewrite the entire system until it's totally in their favor. We had an op-ed from Ben Carrito. I think Carrito is how you say his name.
Looks correct.
I apologize, Benny, if I said your name wrong there. Didn't mean any insult. Why don't you walk us through that? What he basically said in his op-ed, Grant.
So his op-ed is pretty much talking about the potential backlash that we could see from Biden and from the Biden administration as a result of this leak, and what they could do to prevent both Roe v. Wade from being struck down, and also to prevent similar things from happening in the future, basically to prevent the Supreme Court from doing things that they don't like. And so that kind of gets back into the idea of court packing, which is pretty much what his main point in the article is that it's possible that as a response to this, we could see the Democrats start to ramp up their rhetoric about court packing again. And he said that even though it looks like, it would be a steep hill to climb, especially because Manchin and Sinema are not in favor of ending the filibuster. They're not in favor of codifying Roe v. Wade either. So it would be a tough it would be a tough thing to get rid of the filibuster and then either codify Roe v. Wade or to pack the court, because that would also require the 60 votes from the Senate, which they would have a really hard time getting. So all those things are semi-unlikely, but he said they're at least made a little bit more likely by the fact that instead of just talking about court packing and instead of making a referendum on the Supreme Court, they can make it a referendum on abortion. So they can start saying, we have to pack the court in order to protect our rights, as they call them, which is not a thing. There's no such thing as a right to kill a baby. But they call it a right, and they'll say we need to protect our rights, and therefore we're going to pack the Supreme Court for that reason. And he says that may give them a little bit more of an argument to their base, at least.
I do think there's something to that. Like, I do think there's probably no issue right now that will mobilize their base at all like abortion will. We have a lot of very passionate pro-life people on our side, but just, equally passionate are the pro-abortion coalition, the pro-abortion activists on the left, and, the mainstream left-wing voter really is opposed to, a lot of the pro-life legislation going on the right now. It does seem to me like, obviously at the Western Journal we're a a news publication that presents the news to you from a Christian conservative point of view. We are very pro-life over here, every one of us. But it does seem to me like shifting the debate right now to abortion might end up being a losing strategy. It might destroy a lot of the momentum that we've been making in recent months, you know, between all the CRT and gender theory stuff going on in schools, you know, the economy basically getting destroyed by a bunch of by the Biden administration with inflation and supply chain issues. Everybody is turning on Biden. Everybody is turning on him and his agenda. But now they have a really passionate kind of cause that they can get behind, that Biden can say, all right, we're the party of women's rights and bodily autonomy. If you get behind us, you won't lose your right to an abortion. And I just think that's going to distract. And I hope we can get back to winning over some of, you know, a lot of the Democrats, a lot of the reasonable centrists. Because in the long run, if we do want to, you know, outlaw abortion, if we do want to make more movement in the pro-life arena, we probably just need to get those people on our side first. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be won by having those huge divisive debates in public because their positions are solidified.
Yeah, honestly, I think that you're correct. It's kind of a losing strategy for Republicans to kind of focus on this. Now, I will say, like you said, we're all very pro-life here. I'm very pro-life. I think that this is an issue Republicans ought to be firm on. If you are a person who says that you're a Republican and you're for abortion, like Susan Collins, I don't have that much respect for you, or at least I don't believe that you are a Republican. But with that said, at some point, it's got to be a little bit of strategy as well. And like you said, in a midterm election year, when Republicans have so many issues that they're winning on, why would they want to bring up something that most of their base agrees with? Sure, but there are some Republicans who are pro-choice, at least to some extent, and to kind of isolate those people right before the elections, it doesn't seem like the smartest strategy.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about this practically and tactically. Like you need, that kind of
that
rhyme, that went together pretty well. But you know, for the pro-life movement, you know, we need to win control first, and then we can make things happen. And we will win control of everything if we keep harping on these issues that we know 60, 70% of Americans will agree with us on. So shifting tactics, you know, it could give them an advantage that they sorely need right now, and it could eventually lead to court packing. It could lead to us, you know, if they pack the court, if they seize complete control over the Supreme Court, that's it. It's over. They'll just turn the Supreme Court into another legislative branch, and they'll push all their laws through there. And it's pretty much gonzo from then on. But it's not just Biden that's going crazy on all this stuff. You know, Kamala Harris, as can be expected from Kamala Harris, you know, Hillary Clinton 2.0, I guess, is what you'd call her. I don't even know. She's not even is she as bad as Hillary? It's like she's not quite as like shrieky and cringy as Hillary is, but she's much less smart.
Yeah, I think it's more like she just... I mean, they're both super arrogant, but something about Kamala is like she just thinks that she is talking down to you, and she thinks that you as the voter are just inferior to her, and she knows so much more than you, which, like you said, is not true because she's less smart probably even than Hillary Clinton, who's not that smart of a person, but she was smarter than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris does not have a very good record, especially as vice president. She said some really just unintelligent things. So I think that this attitude that she has makes her even more unlikable in that sense.
Yep. And so she basically was the one that declared war on Republicans, declared war on the Supreme Court of the United States. Harris recently said, if the court overturns Roe v. Wade, it will be a direct assault on freedom, on the fundamental right of self-determination to which all Americans are entitled. Women in almost half the country could see their access to abortion severely limited, Harris said. In 13 of those states, women would lose access to abortion immediately and outright. Those Republican leaders who are trying to weaponize the use of law against women, well, we say, how dare they? She's starting to sound a little bit like Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
How dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body? How dare they? How dare they? Wow, I don't think I can say how dare they one more time.
That's a lot of how dare theys.
At its core, she went on to say, at its core, Roe recognizes the fundamental right to privacy, which is, total crap, like we said. Think about that for a moment. When the right to privacy is attacked, anyone in our country may face a future where the government can interfere with their personal decisions, not just women, anyone. Irony is pretty rich right there.
Yeah.
We've spent 2 years not being able to make personal decisions thanks to the government. And it's just the only way Republicans want the government to have its hands in anything is when it comes to abortion. And outlawing Roe v. Wade, that just leaves it up to the states. Most of these leftists are saying, Kamala Harris wasn't saying this, but most of these leftists are saying that now that Roe v. Wade's gone, abortion is just going to be illegal everywhere. That's not the case. It's just remanded to the states.
Kamala Harris didn't say that, but she's making it sound as if this abortion is going to be severely limited across America, which is not true. Especially in the states where the most leftist people are. Those that, you see these protests in California, in Oregon, in New York. Those are the states where abortion would never be outlawed because they're very strong Democrat states, and it's never going to, more than likely, never going to be a Republican-led state legislature that would then outlaw abortion. So those people really don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Democrats, Kamala Harris, they have no interest in being honest and telling those people you're still going to be able to get abortions. They'd rather just use their anger for their own good. Yeah,
and what really spoke to me about, Harris's quote here where she's talking about we need to fight back. Elizabeth Warren just said kind of the same thing. There's a video of her. Fortunately, I forgot about this. I would have brought it up if I thought about it beforehand. But there's a video of Elizabeth Warren just after the decision was leaked. And she just comes off completely unhinged. She's shrieking. She's telling everyone, we need to fight back. We need to stop this. This whole crowd of equally crazed leftist, blue-haired women and the sort. But
I saw a tweet that said Elizabeth Warren has not been that angry since she received her DNA test results. So that's how angry we're talking. She
found out she was, 132nd
Something
Native
like
American?
That, yeah.
But I don't... it wasn't too long ago that when Donald Trump said, we need to fight, everybody said that he was encouraging violence, that he incited riots, that he did this and that. Then these two guys do it. All of a sudden, there's all this violent protesting. You have all these people attacking police officers and such. There's mayhem going on outside the Supreme Court. And there's not a peep about what these guys were saying. Were they not inciting violence?
Also, at the same time, too, whoever leaked this opinion, we didn't talk a whole lot about that. We talked about that it was leaked. If this opinion was leaked by a Democrat for the purpose of trying to create backlash so that the justices would maybe change their mind, that's 10 times more of an insurrection than January 6th would ever be. That is somebody trying to blackmail Supreme Court justices with this decision so that people will go threaten violence against them so that they change their mind. And that's completely just ruining the entire American system of government in the way that it's supposed to work.
Someone posted some of the justices' home addresses online, which is just clearly that sort of doxing is meant to inspire violence, or at the very least, harsh intimidation on political grounds. Some would call that terrorism. But, the White House was asked, Jen Psaki, who's about to leave her position as White House secretary. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But Psaki was asked, what do you guys condemn these people for posting the Supreme Court justices' addresses online? And she says, the Biden administration has no opinion on this matter. No opinion.
I saw people saying, too, the First Amendment gives you the right to peacefully protest, so they can't have an opinion. Okay, it's true that they probably can't say you are prohibited from going to these people's houses. They probably can't do that. But what you could say is we encourage people not to go to someone's house. Do a protest in public. Don't go to people's private residences. There's nothing keeping her from saying that other than the fact that she doesn't want to say that because it would dampen the fire of her base right now.
Well, I have a feeling if one of us posted Jen Psaki's address online, the Biden administration would probably have an opinion.
Yeah, I
about
think that they would have some thoughts to share.
But if you guys just look at the scope of all of these things, the rhetoric coming from Biden about the Roe decision, how citizens can't be trusted, how this is a disaster. Kamala, Elizabeth Warren saying we need to fight, we need to go to war with Republicans. They're stealing your rights. All these crazed leftists online, they are creating an environment of violence. They're setting us up for, an insane amount of violence, rioting, what have you. And it's intentional. And we're seeing this, we're only a few months away now. It's crazy from November, where we're expected to have not a red wave, but a red tsunami.
That's right.
This is something you guys definitely need to keep track of. Keep monitoring this, because this may be the distraction that they've been looking for, like we were talking about earlier. And, their ultimate goal is to completely destroy and tear down the system. And we've never seen them shrieking more than they are now. These are the death throes of an establishment that's almost extinct, and they're dangerous right now.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I'm not sure this has been the. Again, we don't know if it was a Republican who leaked it. So
right.
if it was a Democrat, then they might have done this for this reason. But if it was a Republican, or if the Republicans have kind of been talking about this, or they had any intention to kind of release this decision, then that would not have been very smart, in my opinion. Because
right.
I think that, like you said, we're so close to getting this establishment kind of out of here. I think Trump did a very good job putting us on the path to draining the swamp, as he said, and kind of seeing these people for what they are and pulling back the cover on them. And I think that was one of his greatest accomplishments. I think Republicans had so much momentum, and I'm just, very hopeful that this won't be the thing that kind of slows it down.
And, briefly, as we get closer to wrapping up here, if you want to read about all of the theories on who leaked the SCOTUS draft, you can go to Western Journal. We have a story about that. Just look up 3 theories on who the SCOTUS draft decision leaker is. It's either, but basically what people online are saying, it's either a Democrat who's hoping to intimidate SCOTUS judges, who's hoping to kind of warn the left-wing establishment that this is coming. That seems most likely to me. That fits everything we've talked about today. It's either that, a really stupid Republican clerk that wants to ensure that Republican justices don't change their votes last minute, because this thing isn't enshrined yet. All these judges can still change their votes right now. So those 2 things, or the email system at Supreme Court has been compromised somehow. Some sort of email went out that shouldn't have, and the reporters at Politico took advantage of that. So it's one of those 3 options. And I say, this is left-wing intimidation. That's what all this is. That's what we're getting from Biden, Harris declaring war, Warren, Democrats, left-wing activists, blue-haired women, all of them.
I mean, no matter who leaked it, the fact is that the response from the Democrats is purposeful intimidation as an attempt to use this as a rallying cry for their party.
Yeah. And look, guys, if you want to stay informed on stuff like this, if you want to keep up to date on this situation as it develops, make sure to stay tuned to the Western Journal, to wjlive. If you want to support this show, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to wjlive at youtube.com/wjlive. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications. If you want to support us here at the Western Journal, if you want to support, conservative Christian journalism, you can help us out by going to westernjournal.com/join. That really helps us circumvent a lot of big tech, censorship. They're always trying, Facebook, Google, they're always trying to demonetize us. YouTube's probably going to hear the word abortion in here a few times, and maybe they're not going to want this video to make any money. So you can help us fight that by subscribing to the Western Journal, westernjournal.com/join. And really, it's our subscribers there have done so much. They've helped us so much. We've been through a lot of Facebook, fact checks the last year or so, and you guys have helped us survive that, and we're doing great. So thank you. Consider joining the effort there, and you'll continue to get great journalism from people like Grant. So thank you guys for joining us so much today, and we will see you again next Monday.